Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to do a review about this E-Tape brand tape dispenser, and the reason I'm doing this review is that I couldn't find many reviews about tape dispensers at all, trying to find a really good one, and about this one I couldn't find any reviews. This is fantastic. I really like this, so I figured I'd do a nice detailed review about it. So first of all, the big difference with this and just using one of these by hand is it's going to be much easier, obviously. I have been using these by hand for quite a while, so I found little tricks and stuff for how to use these and not have it be a huge pain in the ass, but still this is much nicer. And the difference between this and a cheaper tape dispenser, and this is not a super expensive one, but you can get ones for, £5–10. This one's about £14. So not a huge difference. But there's quite a nice improvement of features on this one compared to a cheap tape dispenser, so I was really happy to pay a little bit extra and get this one. So first of all, the tape is rolling around this. Instead of going directly to there, it's rolling around this sort of rolling thing right there. So it's going that way, and that makes it quieter. Normally you'd get quite a lot of noise happening right there as it sort of unsticks, but here, as it's unsticking, it's immediately rolling around this thing. So there's quite a big noise difference compared to one of these. Yeah, I've got one. And this one is not very sticky, so you might not hear a huge noise difference there. There definitely is some noise difference, but this one is just a really cheap one. So you can see that isn't really sticking to my hand that much. And because of that, it's actually not one of the louder ones. There's much louder ones than that, and I actually don't have any here at home to show you a comparison with a really loud one. But some of them were so loud that they were actually painful to my ears. This one is loud enough to just be annoying and mean that I don't want to use it at night. And this thing, nice and quiet, so no problem using that at night. And it is really nice to use. It's obviously a little heavy, but not too heavy. I found this was fine. This is about 800 grams with a full roll of tape, which is, this one's almost full there. And then with a small roll of tape, it's about 500 grams. I would say not difficult to use. It's got a nice rubbery handle, so it's sort of like plastic with rubber molded over it. And yeah, definitely nice and comfortable. Over here, there's a little static strip, and basically as the tape rolls over it, it creates a little bit of static electricity that then holds the tape right there after you've, so it's sort of ready to go again. But if you've touched that, then it stops working. So basically, when you've rolled tape over it, like that, then it will hold that tape in place. But once you've touched this, you sort of release that static. But basically, as you're using it, most of the time it works. It stays in place and holds that ready to go. Once you're using it, it works. Once you're actually rolling, but if you play around with it or touch it, then it sometimes stops working and you'll see the tape just do that. If the tape does do that, it's not a big problem. You just start it off like that and then continue. So it's not a problem if it stops working for a few seconds. Then we've got a retractable blade, which I think is a really nice feature. Basically, the blade only comes out when you actually do that move to release the tape. So either when the tape is pulling this back or when you actually press like that down on the box. Either way, that's going to pull, it basically pushes out the blades, and I think that's a really nice feature. Let me show you guys that up close. There we go. You can get replacement blades, they're about 50p each. So far mine has been working fine. I haven't needed to buy any replacements. This thing that allows you to tighten up the roll so there's less friction in there. If you want this to sort of have more pull, so let's say you're trying to close a box and you want the tape to sort of pull this tight as you're closing, then you can actually, so you see right now, that is completely loose, which I think is good. That's the way I like it. But you can turn this thing, and the more you turn it, the more friction you have in there, which is fantastic. The little modification I did is to just put a little elastic band. Those are pulling this thing back just a tiny bit because there's a spring there, and I found that spring a tiny bit too strong. Basically, once again, because I like this thing to be as loose as possible and just have it as easy as possible to pull a strip over, to sort of put a piece of tape on, then I didn't want this thing pressing up against this tape too strong. So, so it doesn't prevent it from easily getting started. Getting started with this is nice and easy. On cardboard, it seems to stick really well. So there's no problem with getting started where you have to keep doing it with your hand. But sometimes I still do. I just sometimes do that. That can be nice and easy. Just touch it like that. Put a piece down. So really, really, really nice and easy to work with. Some more, just so you guys can get a feel for this. So nice and easy to sort of do corners. You can see that's sticking really well to the corner. With this thing, obviously getting started is finding the edge can be really annoying. My little trick for when I was using these without a dispenser at all is I would rip the tape, and then that would instantly create a little pull tab. But that does take some muscle power, so yeah, I don't think everyone would want to do that. I've used tape only for quite a while, so I'm pretty good with that. So my trick with working with tape is, you can see that method isn't great. It creates a lot of mess. But I do that, and that's the quickest way that I've found that I can work with only tape. It's doable, but not great. It's creating a lot of noise, tables shaking, and even with this cheap tape, you can really feel the difference of the noise. And like I said, there's much, much louder tape than this. As for the stickiness of the E-Tape brand tape, in case you guys are wondering. So it's definitely got a really good amount to it. Compared to cheap tape, the cheap tape like comes off my finger really easily. If I try and stick that on really well, it'll still come off. That's a brand new roll of sort of your standard size of tape. Pretty big improvement in just the amount of tapes you need to change over, which is quite nice. And that means that these won't work with that dispenser. So if you've run out of tape and you need to get more, you have to order more from that company. Unless you actually keep one of these with the exact amount to fit that. So you basically create a little adapter. And so you basically want to keep one of these aside, so that if you run out of tape and you have to go to a local store rather than order online, and you have to get some extra tape, then at least you can get some of these cheap ones from wherever. And by the way, the total cost of tape per meter is roughly the same, even like the super cheap tape. This one comes out roughly the same. I think I calculated something like 1.5 pennies per meter. Really, really affordable. So definitely not expensive with buying tape. You just have to remember to order some when you're running low. Before we end off, I'll do a bit more taping and show you guys this with a normal proper label like I would actually use on my packages. So normally my labels come out like this, printed, and then I'll fold all the stuff I don't need. Or I can just do that. So it's a little bit more messy. But yeah, really nice and easy to put a label on without buying like adhesive labels. And yeah, really, really nice to use. Doing corners, really nice and easy. And this thing does quite a good job of sort of sticking that end down. Sometimes you have to go over it with your hand, but overall it does a pretty good job, even if you don't actually roll it on using the roller. Really nice, really recommended. Links below if you want to support this channel, then you can get yours through the links below. And as always, you know, it's not a sponsored review or anything. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you found this useful. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.